Hello, welcome to Math 1150. My name's Carol DeFries, and I'm very happy that you've decided to be part of this class for this semester. The purpose of this video is to give you some idea of how the course is run and to also let you know about a few things you're going to need to do before the first day of class. If you look under the Syllabus tab on my gateway, you'll be able to read through the syllabus. It gives you lots of important information, including the name of the textbook that we're using. This is the 12th edition. And it also tells you about some important things that will contribute toward your grade: quizzes and labs, tests, and the final exam. It also explains that you don't really need any supplies for this class. You may decide that you want to use a calculator. But if you use a calculator, please keep in mind that you cannot use a calculator on tests. That's perhaps one of the things that ends up being a big problem for some students in this class. They're very reliant on calculators for basic arithmetic operations, and then when it's test time, they can't do those operations without the calculator. So it's probably a good idea to wean yourself away from that calculator so that on the tests you will be able to perform the arithmetic without any difficulty. Now there's also a part on the first page of the syllabus that talks about pre-class preparation that you'll have to do before every single class period. We'll get back to that in just a second. The second page of the syllabus talks about how your grade will be determined, where you can get some tutoring outside of class, the university's academic dishonesty policy, and what we would do if the class is canceled for any reason. The third page of the syllabus is our schedule. You will know what we're going to do in this class every single day. It also has some textbook readings, so the pages out of the textbook that correspond to every single section that we're going to cover. And there's some important dates on the third page of the syllabus for things like what's the last day you can drop the class. Now you're going to want to pay attention to the very first day on that schedule. It says that we are going to be covering the first section of the book, problem solving. And there's a few things you're going to have to do before that first day that will require you to have a computer or a tablet or a smartphone, or you could just use your textbook. Now, the reason for that is that this class is taught as a flipped classroom. That might be something that you're familiar with, and maybe it's something you've heard of but you've never experienced. So let's talk a little bit about what that means. Most math classes have been taught in a traditional way. That means that you come to class, the teacher talks math at you, and while that's happening in the classroom, you take notes. Then you go home, you try to do your homework, and then you come back the next day and the whole process starts all over again. In a flipped classroom, the instruction happens outside of class, through a video or a book or maybe a website, and then when you come to class you get a chance to practice what you've learned outside of class, and that in-class practice gives you a deeper understanding of the concepts and also gives an opportunity for you to get some support if you need that support for what you're trying to learn. So if this is the sort of classroom you think of with a math class, with a teacher talking at you in class and you sitting and listening, that's not what we're going to see in our classroom. Our classroom is going to look a lot more like this. When you come to class, you'll be working with a group of other students on problems so that you can understand those problems better. When you come to class, we'll spend about the first 15 minutes going over the homework assignment you had. And that homework assignment would be a few problems that related to the video that you watched to prepare for the class. Then you'll get to work in groups for about 30 minutes to practice the concepts that you watched on the video. We'll go over those problems that you worked on in your groups for about 15 minutes to once again make sure that you have a good understanding of them. And then the last 15 minutes or so of class, we'll have a quiz over that lab material. Now the quizzes are also done with your groups. So in this entire process, you have a lot of support from other students and from me to make sure that you're really understanding the material. So let's talk about where the problems can happen in both a traditional and a flipped classroom. In a traditional classroom where the lecture happens inside the classroom and the homework activities happen at home, if you don't do your homework, you will probably not succeed in class. In a flipped classroom, where that lecture part is happening at home and then in the class you're doing classroom activities, if you don't do your part outside of class, if you don't prepare for the class, and all you do is come to the class and try to do the activities, you are likely not going to have a very good result. This is some advice that my students from past semesters have said is important to know about flipped learning. The first thing they've said is, when you're watching the video, make sure you take notes. Just the same way you would take notes if you were actually sitting in the classroom and listening to a lecture. And they said, bring those notes to class, because you can use those notes while you're working in your group, and you can even use those notes while you're working on your quiz. The second thing they've said is, when you come to class, make sure you come to class prepared, because if you come to class unprepared, you're going to feel very lost and your entire group is going to feel like you've let them down. After all, you're working with a group, you're trying to put all of your thoughts together, and if you don't have anything to contribute, your other group members are certainly going to realize what's going on. So how do you get yourself ready for the first day of class? Well, first of all, log into My Gateway. And underneath the Docs and Assignments tab, you will find a folder for our first class meeting. That's problem solving. In that folder, you'll find a link to a video which you can watch and take notes on that will prepare you for the first day of class. If you do not have access to the video, you can always read the book. And if you look on the syllabus, on that third page where the schedule is, it tells you which pages of the book cover the same material as the video. So that is always an option if you're having technology problems. Now you'll want to take some notes, and you'll also find in that same Docs and Assignment folder, you will find a link to a homework assignment that you also want to do before the first day of class. If you do all of those things, you will be prepared and ready to go on our very first class meeting. Now we know that sometimes math classes can frustrate you a little bit, so let's talk about how to get a little extra help. There is a math lab, which is also called the Math Academic Center, located in room 222 SSB. They offer free walk-in tutoring for UMSL students, so I encourage you to check them out. Even if you just want to go there and sit and do homework, it's a great place to just know that you have somebody that can answer a question for you if you need a question answered. And obviously you can always ask me questions. If you're in doubt, please ask. Don't wait until you feel like you're in over your head and there is no way to recover. If you're struggling, please ask for a little bit of help early on, and it will pay off in the end. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you on the first day of class. Remember, before that first day, you need to go on My Gateway, view the video, take some notes, and do a short homework assignment before you come to class on the first day with your notes and your book ready to roll.